Hey everyone, you're on PhoneArena. This is Luis D, and today we're going to show you 6 phones that came horribly broken out of the box. Prepare for lots of exploding batteries, scratched displays and broken functionality. First up we have the Nexus 6. Dear Motorola spared the glue on the back panel of early Nexus 6 units, which caused it to come clean off right in early buyers' hands. The Android 5.0 flagman had to undergo a manufacturing revision quick because it was reported that a full battery was at fault, maliciously expanding itself and pressing against the back panel. Thankfully, Motorola delivered timely replacements, but by then the Nexus logo had started peeling off from the back panel of other handsets in circulation. So users went and bought replacement back panels or filled out the letters themselves with markers and Sharpies. But speaking of the almighty Nexus, earlier Nexus 5 batches shipped with narrow loudspeaker holes, noise-making buttons, a new fitting that is protruding SIM tray and a sharp display frame that made for an uncomfortable hold. The Nexus 5 had to undergo emergency plastic surgery, so in a subsequent revision it got bigger speaker holes, more flush buttons and a tightened up SIM tray. You can check out the revised smartphone on the top while the older is on the bottom. Now, moving on to someone else's smartphones. Some early takers of Samsung's glamorous curved screen Flagship received scratched units with dead pixels and discolored blotches on the screen. When you spend this kind of money on a smartphone that's supposed to elevate design standards, even tiny problems seem offensively huge. But the unsightly scratches and inexplicable dead pixels are substantial enough to fend off some early Galaxy S6 Edge candidates until the quality control is in line with expectations. By the way, it's not necessarily Samsung at fault here, as smartphones built in Korea and Vietnam have a long way to travel to the States and other parts of the world. This means that any number of destructive things can happen to them during transportation. Think about mishandling, theft and other unfortunate incidents. But the stuff that happened to the next smartphone in the list is more interesting. Owners of the original all-metal HTC One M7 already had a tough pill to swallow with its poor camera performance, but a component flaw left it prone to developing a nightmarish purple tint in low-light photos. The tint was so blatant it literally looked like a bad photo filter. Zoe keeps the camera lens open for long times, with electricity constantly flowing through the cam circuitry and heating it up. Repaired HTC One M7 handsets had their camera components replaced with ones that can tolerate the heat, while skilled users took upon themselves to apply thicker copper shielding and thermal paste, which is a commendable feat considering the One M7 is quite difficult to disassemble. And so is the new HTC One M9, by the way, which might be very recent, but it is imperfect too. What are we talking about? Dead pixels. So many dead pixels. It looks like someone sent HTC a hearty batch of flawed displays for the One M9 and one too many of those made it through quality inspection. Thus, the XDA dev board became host to a weighty thread where we can read things like "First device I got had around 5 to 7 stuck pixels and 1 dead pixel," or "I've exchanged 6 before I got a perfect one," or "Just had a white pixel appear on the top of my display today." Oh boy, HTC might be in serious trouble with the units it shipped to America. We're so glad ours came pristine because the smartphone is gorgeous beyond words. And speaking of gorgeous smartphones, the OnePlus One. Pretty much every bit of functionality in it was buggy or broken at some point. The camera freezed and misbehaved, the touchscreen digitizer was mistriggering swipes and going cray-cray, the display was showing a yellow band on the bottom, Wi-Fi and network signal dropped randomly. There were also screen wake issues, call quality problems, speakers crackling and popping, oh, and some exploding batteries even. By the way, those are all real complaints we pulled off OnePlus forum. But bear in mind that the OnePlus One is produced by a young startup and the software is written by an Android underdog. Although ambitious, both facilities are too small to afford the privilege of top-rank engineers like the ones at Samsung and Apple. Well, that was an interesting story to tell. Thank you for being with us. This is Luis from PhoneArena, and for more interesting stories, check out our website at phonearena.com.